Hey, hello to all. This is Alejandro Bratti, and I am happy to have here today Suzy Carbrey from in this show that is your show. Believe in yourself, believe in your business. I am really excited for today because I know that Suzy is going to help you to understand some of the things that maybe is affecting you in your productivity. But I am going to start first with the story of Suzy. I really want to know more about you, the thing that moves you. So, Susie, if you can tell me, I know that sometimes when I ask this question, they are like, I don't know when to start. But if have to start when I was a kid, or when I was a baby, or when my parents decided that they wanted to have a kid, no, it starts exactly in the point that you can say like relates to what you are doing now. What are the struggles that you were going through when you were a kid, or a little one, or a teenager? I don't know in that what moment you were going through that you started to see like, I have all this person that can give us the background of who you were, and how you started to move to start to believe in yourself, start to believe that you can do something else, that you are different, that you are not that person that you were believing before. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'll start with a little bit about how I got interested in speech language pathology. And it started at my university, just not quite knowing sure what I wanted to do. And I was taking a course called Career Explorations. And in the course, you take all kinds of personality tests and research careers and try to find the best fit for you. And at the end of the course, the best fit was speech language pathology. And when I reflect back, I feel like there's a lot of things from my childhood and my background that really spurred an interest in language and communication for me. When I was a child, my dad was learning English. And so I've had this interest in people who are bilingual and how we communicate across cultures. I have a sister with cerebral palsy who has a lot of communication challenges, physical challenges, and just seeing her in my whole life growing up doing different therapies, I think that inspired me to see just how people can improve, and being within the helping professions is really fulfilling to me.
And tell us a little bit about those pain points. Like, okay, how were you feeling? And if you can share that, like, how were you feeling when you see, for example, your sister like going through all the issues that she needed to go, all the struggles and everything? How are you like? Okay, what is happening here? How I can help? What was the thing that you were thinking about when you saw that?
I think I always focus on the positive and the progress. And so just seeing the change that can happen. I actually did do speech therapy as a child as well. I was a really late talker. But I don't feel that I had a lot of internal conflict with that. It was more so just making progress and improving and always seeking to do more and learn more. And I think probably my personal challenge maybe that relates to the work that I do is with gaining focus on myself, on my career, on reaching my own goals. And now that's one of the biggest things that propels me, is helping others who have these goals and they have intentions, but they have trouble with creating that plan and following through until completion. So I think for me, it's kind of both, how do we improve our communication, but also how do we use our thinking skills to reach our goals? And I feel for me, it's always just been kind of a continual progression to learning more and doing more and getting here to where I am now.
Wow, awesome. And okay, so you came from that world, from seeing that in your house, even with your father and all the things that he was doing. How you, okay, you told us a little bit on the, okay, I started to study a little bit this and how it works. How that become a passion? It was a process. It was something that was in 1 minute. You were programmed with this, or that was happening with your in your family. How was it?
I think the passion came with the knowledge. The more that I've learned about different challenges with thinking and communication, the more I realized that there's a whole lot of different disorders and different conditions that really are very similar. They may seem different. You know, somebody with a brain injury might seem rather different than someone with ADHD or even someone with dementia. But a lot of times the same skills are the ones that are having difficulty. So I find it really fascinating that there's always more to learn about the brain, and there's always new research that we can take that information and apply it to real actionable strategies
Mm.
that can help people. I'm also very fascinated by the way everybody processes sensory information different, and our attention all is a little bit different, how we maintain our focus and our intention. And I find it really interesting that we can support somebody with the best way that their brain works. We don't have to all follow the same steps or the same system, but we can figure out what works for somebody and create those strategies and action steps that will help them.
Awesome. So let's go a little bit deeper on this area now that, okay, this is exactly what you are doing and it's your area of expertise. And the idea here today is going to bring more awareness. So there are some tools. If you are lacking some focus, if you are lacking some, you have the diagnosis of ADHD, ADD, or any of those things that are like affecting your productivity now, there is some solution. So first, let's start to see, okay, from your point of view, what is HDHD, what is ADD, if there is any difference, what is the difference with a person that has only a problem with focus, if it's a focus or they have to focus on understanding what is HDHD, how it works right now, that those three things.
So there's a lot there. So now we consider ADHD is the umbrella term. So ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, but it also includes ADD now. So people who are getting a new diagnosis, they would not get an ADD diagnosis, they would get an ADHD diagnosis of the inattentive type. So that's really confusing because a
Yeah.
lot of people are used to saying or thinking ADD. There's also, it's no longer, I think most people don't consider it attention deficit. It's not that somebody can't maintain their attention, it's really that they have difficulty regulating their attention or
Mm.
really choosing and being in control of where they're going to direct that attention. And there's a lot more to it as well than just attention and focus. A lot of people with ADHD, they have trouble with regulating their emotions, with inhibiting their responses, with time management, organization, just getting these things started. These are all very strong components of ADHD that the title doesn't necessarily clarify. And then I think even if we don't have ADHD, I myself don't have ADHD, but I definitely recognize attention differences within myself. You know, I can very much hyper focus on something at certain times, or I can almost be attention blind. If I'm focused on something, something can be going on in the background and I won't even notice it. And for me, I think it's a difference of how I process some sensory information,
Mm.
especially auditory information. But we all do have these differences on how we best can focus ourselves and maintain our attention, and how external stimuli can distract us or even support us if we curate it in the right way.
Awesome. And tell me, because I'm being curious here, I want to know, for example, if I have a kid and is not exactly paying attention at school and is having some trouble with that, do you recommend to do some of this testing, or what do you recommend first to start to see like these are signals that are going to be important to take care so you can take care of your child if you need to?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend the testing. Now, I don't work with children. My specialty is really with adults. But for a child who's struggling in school, start with the testing because there's a lot we can do to support somebody's attention. And our schools are really not set up in a way that fosters attention. So, for a
Yeah.
child who is easily distracted, there's so many things in the environment that can be distracting to them. Or if they are of the hyperactive type, they need outlets and times where they can get that excess energy out. And so if we do the testing and we know how the student best performs, then we can set up the environment as much as we can in a way that supports them.
Awesome. Okay, and let's move once again to adults, maybe in a corporate situation or maybe even as an entrepreneur. Sometimes we think like, yeah, as an entrepreneur, I am a person that is like always changing, always thinking for the new thing. So it's difficult for me to focus on one step because I have to take care of another 100 one, you know? So how you start to connect with all these things and start to see that I can start to I have maybe a deficit problem even when I am an entrepreneur that is doing different things. So how you start to find like no, the problem is that I have some focus problem that I have to start to work on, and I am going to improve much better in my productivity.
So I like to frame it not so much as a deficit or a problem, but a difference. And so then figuring out what are your strengths and how do you support yourself in that way.
Mm,
So one thing I'm finding is with the pandemic and everyone working from home, there's a lot of people who did really well in the office. They did really well in that structured environment with a structured schedule. And now that they're forced to work at home for so long, they're finding that it's not the best environment for them because they can easily get distracted by the things they need to do within their home or their
mm,
children that might be right there with them when they need to be working. So I think there's a lot of things right now that are triggering people to realize that they just can't focus in certain places or at certain times or in certain environments. So one, just really being observant of yourself and noticing, do I learn and process information better if I get it visually versus auditorily? Or do I get distracted by things that I see more or things that I hear more? And you can start to take that information that you're noticing within yourself and then create an environment and spaces and places that you can function better. um, I feel like another thing I wanted to say is think about what things do you do really well. So maybe you're somebody who you can inhibit your responses. So you have good self control. You're not impulsive, but you're noticing that you're somewhat of a procrastinator, or
mm.
it's hard for you to get things initiated, to get things started. So then think about that concept. If you're good at inhibiting your own responses, can you then take that information and inhibit yourself from doing something that you want to do and save it until later? Save it as a reward to encourage yourself to get that thing started that maybe you've been procrastinating on.
Well, that's really important. And how I start to know like okay, these are really the tools that I can start to do. Why I when I start to feel like I need a coach or somebody like you that can help me to improve this, and it's not like okay, I got this video, this is great, suddenly everything is going to be fine and I have all the solution and everything is going to be perfect. Why do you feel that there is a need of a person, an expert that can help you understand, see the blind spots and all those things?
So, especially for people who do have diagnosed ADHD, we know that the frontal cortex of their brain is not as developed. So, that's where the executive functionings happen, which are things like time management, organization, emotional control, response inhibition, all of these higher level thinking skills that help us follow through to reach our goals. People who have ADHD, they're going to have more trouble with those things. And so the reason you would want to coach is because of that deficit within the brain or that part of the brain not functioning as well. They really can benefit from a lot of external support. So what can you do with being accountable to other people or setting up your environment that then supports your brain? And so the coach is a person who can help you with that. So one thing that I do is I do a pretty thorough assessment to figure out what is somebody's strongest executive functioning skills, what are their weakest executive functioning skills, and then start trying to figure out, okay, how do we support these weaker skills by using the stronger skills? I also very much want to know about what people's goals are. What are their goals within their home, within their
Mm,
work, within their relationship, and where are they having challenges? Why are the challenges happening? And then we can start making strategies to support them. So the coach is really somebody not to tell you what to do or tell you how you're going to function best, but to collaborate with you and help you maybe see some things that you're not noticing within yourself and then create the supports so that you can reach your goal. You know, these are people who have these really big goals and they're struggling internally because they're feeling like, why am I not following through? Why am I not reaching these goals? I know that I can, or I know that I should, or I know that I'm smart, but I'm kind of scattered within my thoughts or even within communication. A lot of people who have trouble organizing things within the environment also have trouble organizing their thoughts. And then they have trouble communicating because their thoughts are coming kind of in a scattered way.
mm,
So their communication partner might not quite be following what they're saying,
mm.
and they're just not articulating in as clear of a way.
Awesome. And tell me, do you know, I don't know if there are some stats or not, but when you are talking about, okay, I have a lack of focus because I have to do a lot of things, how that lack of focus maybe can I can measure that it's affecting my productivity, how I can notice, like, okay, no, I can see that there is a lot of things that I have done, and that's great, that's awesome, and I am going, but I know at the same time that I'm procrastinating in some of the things that I have to be doing that are really important. So how I start to move from, okay, that procrastination that I am doing in these areas and this lack of focus, even when I am getting some things done, is really affecting my productivity, and how I start to measure that and start to see, like, oh no, I need Susie to help me to really focus on the important things and not in every single thing that happens in my life, that every minute we have a different story, a different thing that is happening to us. So how I understand that, yeah, maybe you don't have a HAD, that it's maybe something bigger, but the lack of focus is affecting my productivity.
I think a lot of it boils down to our intentions. And especially now, we all get a lot of information. And so we're all distracted. We all have so much to do. We all have a lot of stresses right now. So it kind of comes down to your intention and your perspective. If you feel like everything that you have to do is doable and manageable and you're still not keeping up, that's when I would recommend getting help. If you have so many things to do and you're not necessarily doing all of them, but you feel okay with that because you know that you're under a lot of stress and you need those breaks for your emotional health, or you don't have that regret or that negative self-talk because you do feel like you're doing everything you can. I think that's kind of a normal response. But if you're somebody who feels like you just don't understand why you're not getting these things done, you know, because you have the intention to do it and maybe you have the time to do it, and but the things just aren't falling in place, and you do have that negative self-talk and you have that regret about it,
Mm,
that's when I think it's beneficial to see if maybe a coach would help. And you know, I think most professionals who do the sort of work that I do would say if they don't feel like they could help you, or if maybe there's somebody else who would be a better fit. But I think it boils down to your intentions, and then how do you reflect upon that? Do you feel like you're keeping up with your intentions or you're not? And then you're regretting it, or you're having negative emotions because of that.
mm, awesome. And okay, I'm very being curious because I like this topic. But for example, when I am asking, okay, maybe I am going through this. I love what you are saying. Why I have to choose one coach uh, out of the other one? Because, for example, there is a lot of coaches that the first thing that they are going to say is, yes, I am going to help you with your productivity. That's why I am a coach. And if you say that, suddenly you have 1 million coaches outside that is going to be able to help you because they have done that, but that's not the reality. You have a story, this is specifically, and it's specifically for you, and how you can help them directly. So why do you think you need a coach? That you already talked a little bit about this. And the next thing is how I choose the right one for me.
So there are a lot of people who are coaches, and there's still not necessarily clear, defined rules about who can be a coach and who can't be a coach. So if you're looking for a coach, I would look for somebody who has really specific education and experience within ADHD specifically, if that's what you need help with. Um, there's all kinds of professionals who can become an ADHD coach or do executive functioning treatment. For me, I come from the speech language pathology world. So our education and training is very focused within communication and thinking skills. We're the ones who do rehabilitation for stroke or brain injury, lots of different brain based conditions. And that's how it makes sense for us to work with somebody who has ADHD because we have such a strong background within cognition. I also have specialty training and credentialing within ADHD rehabilitation service provider. So I would, if I were looking for somebody, I would look at their education, I would look at their experience, any additional specific training, and start
Awesome.
there and see if you're a good fit. I think the rapport um, is really important too because you kind of become accountable to that person. So you want somebody that you relate well with.
Yeah, exactly. That's key at the end because if you don't relate with your coach, you are not going to do the exercise and the thing that you are trying to do, and nothing is going to work. So that's key, and you have to ask for that conversation to feel if you have the same connection or not. Maybe you don't feel the connection, so move and look for the next one.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we are doing this type of conversations, because the idea is, you know, a little bit better Susie, you know, a little bit better Alejandro, you know how we are, why we care about this, why we care about the people that is suffering this. And I know that maybe you don't have the ADHD already diagnosed, but you are suffering that. Yeah, I have to do everything like in the last minute, and I have to suffer the last minute, like for not sleeping that night or not sleeping for 1 week because I was procrastinating for 2 months.
Yeah. And for adults, this is a good point. There are a lot of adults who suspect that they have ADHD or suspect that they might have attention difference, but they don't have a diagnosis. And for me, a lot of my clients don't have a diagnosis. They just want a brain-based approach to improve their productivity and their communication. But for adults, it's a very personal thing if they decide to get the diagnosis or they decide that they don't want the diagnosis. They just want the treatment to improve those skills. Also, we used to think that people would grow out of ADHD, and now there's much more awareness that they really don't. It just looks different. And we're really learning too that women and girls who have ADHD, it looks really different than a boy. So there were a lot of females who were missed within diagnosis, and a lot of people who are kind of realizing as an adult, maybe I do process certain information differently, or my attention is more variable than other people. And so, not everybody has a diagnosis that can benefit from the work.
And do you know that right now, with all the things that we have in the world that is affecting, and okay, we have the cell phone, we have all the social media, we have a lot of things that is affecting and trying to get our attention like every second. So, and even if you are like driving and you are going to start to see like you are driving, but you have like a lot of banners outside, there is a lot of people that trying to get your attention even when you are driving. So at the end, we are in a world that is trying to get our attention every second, and they are like becoming like masters on this. So when I what do you say, or what are some things that you already know that is affecting that maybe you don't have HDD, you don't have a problem with focus, but if you don't take care of these five things of, for example, having my cell phone in front of my computer at the same time that I am trying to work, that can help, that is helping you to really think that you have the HAD because I can focus. No, the problem is that you have your cell phone at your side and it's you are trying to answer every single email that you are receiving or anything. So what are some tricks to start to like, okay, you can focus better only by doing these two, three things?
I think there's definitely a lot there. So, technology is affecting all of us, that we're always getting these demands on our attention. And it's just really hard with the nature of how fast we communicate and how fast we get information now. Really, everybody's going to struggle at certain times and in certain environments. And with the stress of the world, stress can affect your attention. The way we're sleeping can affect your attention. People are taking on more and more commitments, and that's going to make it where you can't focus as well. So we all have a bit of a variable attention where we can maintain our attention better at certain times or in certain places. I like that you bring up the phone. There is research that even just having your phone in sight, your brain's kind of anticipating for something to happen with it. And so you can have better communication and more empathy if you actually put your phone out of sight. So anytime I have a meeting or I have a meal or I'm socializing with people, I put my phone out of sight. So my brain's not even anticipating that
Mm.
something's going to come into it. If you know that you have a big project or something really important that you need to work on, try to block out time and try to go to an environment that you can focus well and really protect that work time, because that it's going to end up saving you time. If you have this protected time that you can get good focus work done, it's going to end up being better than if you're trying to do it in a distracted environment. And it's going to save you time because you just get it done in a good way rather than getting bits and pieces here, and you're never getting that good deep focused work where you can flow within that task.
Awesome. So this is great, Susie, because I know that we brought a lot of value to the people that is listening here to us. A quick question: how people can connect with you, how they can know you, how they can even work with you, or try to find if they have this issue or another communication issue that they want to work with, how they can connect with you.
The best way to find me would be from my business website, which is cognitivecommunicationsolutions.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. They're all good places to find me.
Okay, awesome. So this was really great. I really appreciate this time that you brought here to us to really improve. Do you have like a final word or anything like, okay, if you didn't listen to anything that happened in this show during today, in this 28 minutes that we were here, but I want you to remember this phrase or this thing that I'm going to tell you, what is that?
I'll say two things: self care. So, doing things that make you feel restorative, that bring you joy, sleeping well, exercising, eating well, all of those self care things are really foundational to how well our brain can function. So, then we will think and communicate better. And also, just our intention, intending to be a mindful communicator or intending to be an active listener, setting that intention is a great foundation piece.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone that was here today. This was really funny. There was a lot of good stuff here. I really recommend you to understand a little bit more, even for your kids, for your life, in your business. Really, you can take out that phone that is affecting you every moment because it's like great getting every information. Like this guy wants to talk with you. This WhatsApp, this Skype, this. Everything that is in front of you is going to affect you a lot with your stuff. The other thing is have your clean your desk, so that is going to help also to like, okay, I am not a mess. I have a everything is fixed here, so I can be working better. I will feel better when I am working. So this was great, Susie. Thank you very much for this time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so see you next time, everybody, and see you next time, Susie. Thank you very much for having me here today, and see you.
Likewise. Take care.